Right, so let's have it then.
Okie dokie.
Here we are. Let's have another conversation a lot of people don't want to have or are afraid to have.
That's right.
So start with me today. I've got my dad, Gary. Do you want to introduce yourself to the people?
Yeah, my name's Gary. Malachi's son.
Malachi's son.
No, Malachi is my son. Terrible.
Yeah, so today we're here to talk about immigration or the illegal side of immigration, more or less, preferably towards the side of the English Channel between here and Calais.
That's right.
Now, obviously, you are the son of two immigrants.
Certainly am.
So that means I'm the grandchild of two immigrants. So all the lefties out there can't argue and say we're doing this out of any sort of racial hatred or anything like that. This is just how we feel about how Keir Starmer has let things get out of control and what we think should be done about it.
That's right. I mean, at the end of the day, it's ideal in the sense of common sense. It's not just Keir Starmer, but it's also the Conservatives as well. Because the problem doesn't just stem from Keir Starmer, it also stems from the Conservatives.
Yep.
Because what's happened is too many liberal people came into the Conservative Party because when the Conservative Party was in power, a lot of people just want to be in power. They want to be MPs because there's financial reward. But the problem is also, as we all know, a lot of these people have been to university and they've been taught in the doctrination of socialism. And they think that socialism and fairness means that they should do things to look fair. And they also believe in socialism as a form of religion. And in religion, there's always a sense of trying to be righteous. And what it is that people have a righteousness that doesn't come from God, but a righteousness that comes from man, which is if we see to do what's right, then we are righteous. And that's why people think that like immigration and things like that is the right thing to do because it makes them feel good. They're a good person because they're helping the poor. They're letting people from other countries that are coming from other countries that are not on the same level of us morally, because we let them in, then we're doing the right thing. And it somehow equates and puts back all the wrongs we did in colonialism. So if we let them in now, we feel good. Because all of that is a load of nonsense, as I will explain later.
Right. So let's go back to the beginning then. Do you want to start off with telling the people about your parents, where they came from and whatnot?
Well, my parents, they came from Jamaica. They came over in the early 60s. But in those days, they were asked to come over because England, after the Second World War, obviously with lots of soldiers that had died, they needed people from the Commonwealth to come over to help to rebuild Britain. So they were asked to come over.
Yeah.
So for them, England was a mother country. And because England was opening up and said, please come over from the Commonwealth, they came over. And that's why they came. They were asked to come over. They didn't come illegally.
Yeah.
And they came. And then they got to a period of time where England says, well, that's enough. We will, close the border as such and not make so many come over, which any country has the right to decide how and when people enter their country.
Yeah, I definitely agree.
And that's my stance. People always say things like, oh, well, if your parents are immigrants, then why can't other immigrants come in? It's unfair that you did and they don't. But that's a silly argument because that's just like saying, if I have a party in a house, if I decide to let 5 people in on the street, if someone knocks on the door and says, well, I live a little bit further down the street, can I come in? If I say no, what argument has that person has? It's my house. I decide who I want, when I want. If I want to have 10 people in my house, I can have 10. If I want 15, I'll have 15. It's not for you to tell me that if I don't let you in, I'm racist. Well, no, that's got nothing to do with it. It's my house. I decide when. And then the other argument they'll say is this nation was born on immigration.
Yeah.
Well, it was. But what's that got to do with it? Immigration is something that a country needs for a period of time. And then when a country decides we don't want any more people in, then it's for that country to decide that they don't want any more people in. It's nothing to do with racism. It's to do with, like I said, if you have a party, you get to a point where you say, that's enough, I don't want any more people in. And people don't look at things like that because it's common sense. And people can't go with common sense. They go with ideology and feelings. And if I don't let X amount of people in, it means I'm racist. When it doesn't mean you're racist, it just means you're in control and you decide what's right.
Right then. So if you was put into power tomorrow, how would you tackle the illegal immigration side of things? France, what would be the first things you would put in place to bring it to an end?
Well, the thing is, we're paying France billions to stop the I think it's 500 million to stop them from allowing the boats to come over, but they're not actually using that money for that purpose because they never do that.
No.
It's just for show.
Yeah.
To make the British people think that the British government are doing something. This was already set in motion by Conservatives before the election. So the French don't mind them coming over because it's less of a problem for them. If you're France, they have them in camps and they know their desire is to come to Britain. So they all go to Calais, and the French don't mind keeping them in the camps in Calais because they know that the situation is they're going to get boats, pay their money and come over.
Yeah.
And more come over, the less problem it is for France. So though they may pretend to stop the boats, they're not stopping the boats, they're letting them come. So that's the problem you have with France.
Yeah.
But if you're a government who want people to come over, all you do is to pacify the public, is pretend that you've got an agreement with France to stop the people coming over. But really, you don't want the people to not come over. You actually want them to come over.
Yeah, well, they definitely
But
do.
you always have to do things to look as though. So what I would do is, obviously, people like us, we know what we would do, but we would never be in power to get that responsibility to do it, because one of the biggest problem is because we're part of the human rights conventions in Europe, we have to allow people to come over who say that they are asylum seekers.
Yeah.
So because we're part of that agreement, we have to let people in, because as soon as they get here, they claim asylum. So because we're part of that agreement, which that agreement was put in because there's atrocities that happened in Europe, like the Second World War, to give people a reason to come over in case things happen like in the Second World War, to stop people being persecuted in that country, they have somewhere to flee. But that ruling is an old ruling that is open to abuse.
You're saying it's outdated now?
It's outdated because every time you make a ruling, you always have to find ways. How can this ruling I've made, how can it be
worked around?
Yeah. And what they don't do is think about how it can be worked around. Because a lot of the time when they make the ruling, they make it for the wrong reasons. They make it because it sounds good or looks good. And so with that ruling, people from foreign countries that want to come here, economic migrants, they know that if all you need to do is to get across the channel to Britain and just say you're an asylum seeker, and hey, the rewards are great, because in Britain, we don't have camps like they do in France. No, we put them in 4-star hotels.
Yeah, or you can eat meals, 3 meals a day. And you know what I think the problem is as well? If people are generally coming over here to seek asylum, that's not a problem, fair play. But my issue is when it's military-aged men between the age of 18 and 30, how are you coming here to seek asylum? Because when you get to France, you throw all your paperwork off the boat and come over as an unregistered, so to say, alien. But if you would really seek an asylum, why would you go through all that bother to hide who you are if that was your true intentions?
So they're not coming for asylum. It's a grey area. What is asylum? What is persecution? You get people that are coming specifically from Islamic countries that's saying, well, I'm gay. Well, how do we know you're gay?
You know what I saw the other day? I heard the other day on the radio when I was driving my truck, they were saying how they've got these human rights activists now, and they're telling these asylum seekers when it's time to go, just claim you're homosexual and making up stories so they can claim asylum. But then again, you're coming from Muslim countries where it's illegal to be homosexual. But then coming over here to claim asylum and then claiming to be homosexual, well, it kind of goes against what you believe in, innit?
There you go. That's why it's all just a laugh. Someone was saying is that the amount of money that these lawyers make, right, or these what do you call them?
Human rights
lawyers. The amount of money that they make is because it's all been set up by Tony Blair when he was in power with his bureaucracy. He's set it up this way that if you're an asylum seeker, that you can claim anything and you'll get away with it. And if you're a person using the judicial system, if you're a lawyer, that the money is in this area because so much billions is given to helping allegedly asylum seekers in being able to stay, that they make more money doing these than they do from other issues. Do you remember the days where all the sort of solicitors were all running on the injury case? Injury accidents.
Injury lawyers for you.
Yeah.
Injuries at work and all
Right.
that.
So it's just changed now. And all you have is human rights lawyers because that's where the money is. And it's sad, really, because you get these people with these lawyers and such, that they are the ones that are helping to ruin the country.
Yeah.
For what? For money. It's like everything else, isn't it? People do things, they say they're patriotic, but people are not patriotic. They don't really care. The person that is patriotic, which is like your next door neighbor who has a England flag, right? They're the ones who are being persecuted because they are for the country. They are maybe willing to go to war for the country. They're the ones who support their country, like, we see with the football.
Yeah.
But just because maybe they may put it out because of England's playing, because they have a flag that's an England flag, they're persecuted for supporting their country. Where the people with the money that don't really support the country, they're just using the taxpayers' money to make money for themselves. They're not patriotic. The man on the street, he's usually the one that's really patriotic.
So the working class people.
Yes, and people like Keir Starmer and all these Islington MPs, they're not patriotic because they don't believe in that anymore.
Oh, they don't, do they?
They're socialist.
I mean, if you look around, you can see how much changed. I remember when we was young, when I was 9, 10, 11, and the World Cup came around.
That's right.
You couldn't see a car go down the road without an England flag on it. You couldn't walk down the estate and not see an England flag. When the World Cup comes around now, you'd be lucky to see 2, 3, 4 England flags. You know what I mean?
Yeah. People are scared to put an England flag on their car. People are scared to put the England flag, out the window. I was listening to this person speaking on the YouTube, and she was saying that this person put out an England flag and they live next to a mosque. And she was saying that the people who went to the mosque were scared.
That's nonsense.
That they had to, call the police. And it's not fair that people who go to a mosque should be intimidated and feel fearful because some of the houses had England flags. How ridiculous is that?
You know what? It's ridiculous because it's not been, 2, 3 years since the Palestine war. Everywhere you go now, all you see is Palestine flags.
There you go.
You know what I mean? They're happy to fly their flags in our country, but then on the flip side, they don't want us to fly our flags in our country.
And there's a problem is that they always talk about minorities. When we talk about minorities, who do we always talk about as being the minority? We always talk about the Islamic nation as being, but they're not. If I were to ask you how many Jewish people are there in the country, how much do you think?
It's definitely, I don't know, a couple 100,000.
There you go.
Yeah,
200,000. How many
minority.
people of Islamists or Muslim people are there in the nation, do you think?
Say something. Got to be at least a couple million.
More than that.
Oh, well, what's the population of England now?
Well,
the
it's 65 to 70 million.
So I'd say it's got to be at least 10%.
Yeah.
At least
10 million?
Yeah.
Right, so who's a minority? Right, but when we talk about minorities, we're always talking about those, set of people.
Yeah.
But it's the Jewish people are the minorities.
Yeah.
Who were the 2 people that happened a couple of weeks ago? The 2 people in Golders Green that got stabbed.
Oh, yeah, the Jewish
people.
Guys. Yeah.
But what does Keir Starmer do?
He
Offers money.
He invested 25 million in protecting them.
But that's not what people want. What people want.
Yeah.
The thing that annoyed me is when that happened, yes, he gave that amount of money to the people of that area, but that's not what people want because he stood up and he said afterwards that it's all our fault why this happened. We all have to be, vigilant, and it's not society's fault. It's your fault and the Conservative Party's fault because you're the ones who allowed all the marches to do with Palestine. You're the ones that allow people on the streets to talk down and talk threatening things against Jewish people.
Yeah.
Is you allow these things and then you wonder why in Manchester or why in Golders Green, why Jewish people are attacked. Because you're allowing anti-Semitism to run riot in the country. So people who have a grievance against that types of people, they think it's open season.
I agree.
Because if you allow people to say these things about that,
group of people,
then what do you think people are going to do?
I
they
agree.
think, I think no one's stopping us.
Well, a lot of it comes down to common sense. if you're allowing thousands or hundreds of thousands of unchecked people to come in
There
from
you
the
go.
borders from countries in the Middle East, I don't want to say names and seem like we're picking out any certain countries, but a lot of them countries are third world countries, and you could say some of them people there, they're like barbarians.
course
You
they
know,
are.
they're living by Sharia law, and that's what they come over here and they bring that with them. And now this isn't anything to do with Muslims. We're not sat here criticizing Muslims. We're talking about the extreme unregistered versions in this country who bring their sort of ways with them. And if
Mm.
you let them in and then these sort of things happen, I'd argue it's the people in power that are at fault.
They are, because it annoys people like us, because ideology always goes ahead of common sense. So
Mm.
if you're socialist, or even if you're, Marxist, your socialism rules. And when you look at socialism and Marxism, and you look at the 19th century, religion, socialism and Marxism, you hear of countries like in Eastern Europe and Russia where millions of people die. Places like in China through the 60s, 1960s and 70s, where tens of millions died of starvation. Why did this happen? Because the socialist government. And when you have a socialist government like that, you are not allowed to say that things are wrong. So
Mm.
if they want to have an idea that they want this area to produce this, or we don't want any farming in this area, then they don't care that 10 million people will die, because it's all for the cause. And you, as a citizen of that regime, will not say anything against the regime.
No,
you
you
won't
know.
say that tens of million people, because if you do, you are against socialism, and you'll be treated the same as those people that died. And this is why, when you try to share and tell people things about socialism, or tell people things about the immigration, they use racism as a way of shutting you up. We have the joke, don't we, with Carla, when you say about get with the program.
Yeah, get with the program. Yeah,
That's what it is.
Yeah.
They want everybody to get with the program, the socialist program, the one world order, the order where free borders, the orders where you allow people from anywhere to enter your country. And if you dissent and say no, then you're the one with the problem.
Yeah.
Because you're not getting with the program.
Yeah.
And the worst thing is 2 or 3 weeks ago, 2 people were sentenced, 2 immigrants. I think one of them, they raped a young girl. And the excuses from his culture, he said that what he did was just seen as being normal. Now, it's not really normal, because, everybody knows if you're a man, doing that is wrong. It doesn't matter what religion you believe in. It doesn't matter who you worship. You know that is wrong. So even if people used to do those things and they may have got away with it in your culture, you still know it was wrong.
Yeah.
You can't go to another culture and say, well, for us, those things perhaps happen normally, and this is how some of us treat our women. Yeah, but you still know it's wrong. You didn't know what you was doing was wrong. Of course you did.
They definitely knew.
But it's like everything in this country, if you do things like that, you get away with it. Until perhaps you go to prison. But anyway.
Yeah. So pulling it back to the boats again, how would you tackle the boats then if you was in charge? How would you put a stop to them getting over, or even starting to come across? What would you do?
If I know what I would do, but you see, the problem is the military won't do what you want them to do. So if I would tell the military to do what they're paid to do, which is secure our borders. Don't let them in. Turn the boats away. Really, I know it sounds harsh, but if someone's breaking into your house, what do you do? Do you pick them up and bring them across?
What, and make them a cup of tea?
Yeah, no, you don't.
Kicking him down the stairs.
There you go. But you can't use the military, because the military won't do what you want them to do, because in the military, it's all the same. They're all left-wing as well, but also giving the order to do that, you won't, because if you're in government, if you give the order for that to happen, because you've got civil servants that are all liberal and left-wing, they won't carry out your order.
I was just about to say that. If you look at Donald Trump, for example, if he says do something, it gets done.
Yes.
When he said stop them coming over the border over there with South America or whatever, he said put a stop to it. Within days, it was stopped. It was over. The problem I'm thinking over here is, like you said, because you've got so many people in power to get anything passed, you've got to
Yes.
have a certain amount of votes. But if everyone's all on the left and liberal, then no one's voting for that.
Mm.
Even though the likes of us and other people out there who might be afraid to say their opinion and voice it, we don't want them to come over anymore. We
No.
want you to stop it. If that boat crosses a certain line, you put a bullet in it, let it sink.
But you can't. See, the problem is that politicians don't have as much power as we think they do. They used to, but Tony Blair stopped all that and made it all bureaucratical. So what he did was, if you're a MP, a minister, and you want something to happen, it's got to go through all the channels of the bureaucracy of the civil servants. And most of these civil servants are mostly left-wing. And though you want to do that, you can't do it because they won't let you do it. And that's what the problem is. So though we have this idea is, well, if I'm in power, I would do this. No, if you're in power, or if I'm in power, I would want to do this, but I know I couldn't do this.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Because it's not like in America where with Donald Trump, he can sign executive orders and things get carried through. In this country, if you wanted to say, I want to stop the boats, you can't. Even if you want to, you cannot stop the boats because you don't have that authority and power. You saying that is only saying that to win certain people's votes. But to actually do it, you won't be able to. So we all know how to do it, but we can't do it because the people who have the authority to do it won't sign it off.
Regardless of what the people want.
Yeah. Anyway, well, it doesn't really matter what the people want. The people don't get what they want.
No, obviously not.
You know, people say, why don't you vote? Because there's no point voting. Because if I vote, all I'm getting is just the same as the previous people. And whoever comes in has no power. People say get rid of Keir Starmer, but what's the point? Because the person that would take his place thinks the same as him, has the same idea as him. All you're doing is changing personalities. So you might get someone who sounds a little bit more sympathetic. That's all you're doing.
Yeah.
The policies are the same. The policies are to move us ever forward into Europe, back into Europe.
We were talking about that the other day, weren't we?
Yeah. So the person who comes in
answer.
has the same because that's what the Labour Party want.
So what's the difference between the likes of Poland and the likes of us? Because the Polish haven't let a single one through. They stand on business. They've not let a single immigrant through. But why is it that they seem to be doing what's right for their people, but our government aren't doing what's right for us?
Because who's ever in power in that nation, their political system is a system where if they decide to do something, they can do it. With us, if we decide to do something, we can't do it. So even coming out of the GCH, human rights, is very difficult to do because Tony Blair has made it difficult to do that. He's made everything so hard. So even when Farage gets in power, yes, we know Farage wants to do this, he wants to do this. Farage wants to send back immigrants. But it's hard because you got obstacles, you've got human rights lawyers, you've got to change the law here, you've got to rewrite hundreds of laws that Tony Blair have changed. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So it sounds good when Farage says, I'm going to do this. And yes, it's the right thing to do, but you can't literally do it. Because you know, if someone comes out of prison and they're a legal immigrant, how hard is it to send them back to the country of origin? It's nearly impossible because you'll always get people, not just the legal system, but you get people in the society that don't want them to go. There's always a reason to not send someone back. And it's a silly reason, like my son, there's no KFCs in a particular country. So my son, you know, he can't go because there's no, you know, KFC there. It's not as good as the same as a KFC's in this country, so you can't send me. Silly reasons like that. And you're thinking, what? Because really, the people who have the power and the authority, they all think the same. They don't want them to go back.
No, they don't. Because I'd argue that the reason, or one of the reasons they're letting them in, is because when it comes round to general elections,
there you go,
they're going to vote. If you're letting in, let's say, for instance, you let 100,000 of them in this year, they all get the benefits because they don't contribute to society. I mean, let's have it right. How many illegal immigrants come over here and actually work and pay taxes? You know what I mean? So they don't contribute to society, but then they get citizenship, they get the right to vote. Who are you going to vote for when you get the right to vote?
There you go.
You're going to vote for the guy who let you in, aren't you?
Yeah, or vote for the people that are giving you your money. I mean, I was talking today, this is a good story. this week I was talking to do my driving course, and they were saying that, as you know, because you're into the haulage industry,
Yeah.
that there's a shortage for drivers. It's about 70,000.
Yeah.
And they were saying that the examiners, there's not enough of them. So they went to Parliament and they spoke to the MPs saying, listen, you've got to do something. You know there's a shortfall. We need more examiners. So they said the examiners are paid around about 26,000 a year.
Right.
So they said, MPs in departments said that we're willing to lift up the wages that we paid them to 28.
That increase.
So we can get more people to pass the test to be examiners.
Yeah.
But that's not enough, because, you know, what an examiner does, how are you going to get someone who's passed their level 1 driving to be an instructor if all they're going to get is 28?
Yeah,
but you can make 50, 60.
Driving yourself. Yeah.
So the problem is because driving examiners are actually civil servants, they can't give them like 30 or 40,000 a year because other civil servants won't like it.
Yeah. So issue then.
So there's an issue. So now you see where the problems are.
Yeah.
So I said to somebody, isn't it funny though, but we can waste billions year after year allowing these people to come over, putting them in hotels, putting them in hostels for people to just sit there like that and do nothing. Thousands upon thousands every year. People sat there doing nothing. We can pay out billions for that, but we can't give people an incentive to be examiners and instructors
to get more
drivers, even though you're saying that the country has 70,000 drivers we need. Now you see how things are just crazy.
Yeah, it doesn't make no sense.
Yeah, we won't pay to get this industry going because you think you know in the haulage how important it is to get the haulage moving, get goods around the country moving.
Yeah. Well, I say all the time, if you look around you, everything you see came off the back of a truck.
There you go.
Everything from, you know, seats to metal to bricks, everything comes on the back of a truck. Your kitchen sink. So everything needs to be moved. And if you've not got the drivers to move it, then you're going to have a problem, aren't you?
Yeah. But the issue isn't get this industry working. Because of Brexit and because of certain other issues, all the foreign drivers decide now to stay on the continent.
Yeah.
So all we've got left now, because you know what this country's like, we won't teach people to drive. Why would you teach when you can just get people from the continent to come in?
Bring them in, let them
there
do
you go.
It, yeah.
Because most of them now decide they don't want to work in Britain, they want to stay on the continent. There's a great shortfall. What is your answer, government, for this? Well, we'll give £2,000 a year more for instructors. Right. But you spend billions on immigrants coming in to sit there and do nothing. And then they wonder why this country is failing all the time, because they don't put the money where it's needed.
Yeah, they don't. Well, same with like Ukraine. How much money have they sent over there?
There you go.
But yeah, the mental health in this country is in a crisis. Homelessness is in a crisis.
Yeah.
But all these things in a crisis, but all the money's going on immigration and going on Ukraine, and it's not going to where it's needed to be.
Yes, because it's like I always say to people, the reason why lots of money goes on immigration, lots of money goes on Ukraine, and lots of money goes to, like, you know, if you say, let's stop giving money, you know, like aid to countries, right? The reason why all these money is given to all these institutions and places is because people are creaming the money off.
Yeah, someone's making money somewhere.
Yes, of course they are.
Yeah.
Of course
they are. It always comes down to money.
They don't want to stop immigration because all the people that were making money, like GS4 and such, with the hotels, people are making money on this issue. That's why they want to keep it going, because we've made contracts with certain people, and my friend, you know, he's got a company now that are willing to take on, and you know, I had a dilemma myself really, because someone offered me to open up my bedroom for an immigrant to come in. And then when I found out that some of these immigrants may not actually be under 18, though they're claiming they are, I had a dilemma. Do I actually want to do this? Because I'm taking taxpayers' money to allow someone to come into my house to stay in one of my bedrooms when I don't agree with it. So I myself had to say, no, I can't do this, because if I'm against it, how can I allow an immigrant to come in?
No, you can't.
Can't be a hypocrite.
Yeah. You'd be a hypocrite just for the money, wouldn't you?
Right, but the problem is not a lot of people think that way.
No, they don't.
They'll say, I'll take the money, and oh, yes, immigrants, come in. You know, oh, yeah, you're all asylum seekers, aren't you? Every single one of you, yes, you all under 30, all on the boat, all 40 of you on the boat. Yeah, well, you've got no kids, you've got no women.
Yeah.
And you're all asylum.
Yeah.
You're all
military age, man.
Of course you are.
So, so would you, the ones that are here now illegally, would
Yeah.
you allow them to stay?
No.
Or would you send them on the way?
Send them back.
Send them back.
Of course you would. Because people always say about this Rwanda, it was a waste of time, it's stupid. Well, yeah, it might not have worked. You may have only had 40 people in 1 year that would have been sent to Rwanda. But it's a deterrent because these people who are getting in these boats, they will think, am I going to spend £3,000 to get on a boat and come over to this country?
Get sent over.
Am I going to be caught and be sent to Rwanda? Oh, is there another country?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I agree, it wasn't the best idea. I agree, it may not have worked, but it was a good deterrent because these people come over because they know what's facing them when they come over or the things they're going to get. If they know that the British people will just sit back and, you know, if I break into your house, you're going to say, come in, sit down. I've got a bedroom. I've been waiting for you. I've got a spare bedroom. You're one of the family. And then not only that is, I start telling you that, mate, I don't like your wallpaper. You know, it's
start nitpicking and all that.
Nitpicking and telling you what to do. And actually, it's good that you're feeding me, but I would prefer if you could give me halal food and, you know, coming out with changing the law.
Yeah.
And you're thinking, but wait a minute, you just broke in. Now you're telling me what to do.
Yeah, well, I'm definitely with you as well. I think, you know, you've broken the law getting into this country.
There you go.
You are already a criminal.
Yes.
And if you're not a citizen of this country and you commit a crime, off you go, mate. You know, if you're a legal citizen, then obviously you get due process and all that. But if you've committed a crime to get in this country, if you should be sent straight out. And if you commit a crime whilst coming in illegally and you get, I don't know, say you come in illegally and then they give you citizenship, the first time you commit a crime, send him back.
Right. Just send you back anyway. You broke in. You think so?
You broke the law on the way in.
What annoys me is that people always talk about fairness. But why is it fair that someone in another country has to go through the process of applying and getting a visa and do it the proper way to come to this country, but someone can just come on a boat illegally? So where's the fairness there?
There is no fairness.
There isn't, because then the fairness argument falls.
Yeah, well, look at Carlo, for instance. Look at everything he had to go through to get it. Yeah.
But
this exam, learn this, do that, come here, do that, and then someone comes in willy-nilly on a boat, throws his paperwork over the side, and Bob's your uncle, here you go. You know, you stay in this hotel here, your 3 meals a day, and yet you've got people in a cost of living crisis. Your neighbour next door is struggling to pay bills and feed the kids, but yet John and whoever over there, that's what they're saying they're called, who knows what they're calling themselves. You know, they're getting all 5-star treatment and they're getting phones given to them and all that. Can you imagine? Better phones than I've got. These men are getting iPhones given to them. Take this, hold that. Every time I go past them, I see them, like, especially when I used to work up in Scotland, you just see them all the time in the hotel, out there drinking, smoking cigarettes with the new phones. And I'm thinking, these men have got it nice. You know, why wouldn't you want to come over here?
There you go.
Like you said, there's no incentive to not come. Because, you know, if you get on that boat and you fall in that sea, they're just going to pick you up.
There you go.
Come on, mate, jump on our destroyer. We'll ferry you the rest of the way.
And the thing that annoys me also is, I understand people have their political affiliations, they have their ideas, but when you challenge their ideas and when you want to work in common sense, they don't want to move in common sense. They can't argue with you or debate common sense because they'd start getting personal. Because if you said to them, if they say it's right for immigrants to come over, then you say, well, can you tell me and show me where it's right for immigrants to be able to come in anywhere? Where? Because you keep saying it's right. It's fair, right? Tell me where it's right. And who says it's right and fair? Who says it? Who's in control? Well, what? So does God say it's fair? No. Well, who says it's fair? Where is it written that every country should allow people in? It's not written, is it? It's up to individual country to decide. So when people say it's only right, it's not right. Like Keir Starmer will always say, like, when he says things like it's right to, even something little like provide more breakfast for the kids in the morning.
Yeah.
Or it's right to give people money if they have more than 2 kids. And his answer for doing it is, it's right. I think, wait. What do you mean it's right?
Yeah.
Where is it written it's right? Do you get what I mean? You can't just say, we did it because it's right. Right. So who says it's right, Kia? Where did it say it's right, Kia? Who decides it's right, Kia?
No, you're right.
You can't just say it's right, because you could say that about anything. It's like you could say tomorrow, Kia, anybody with green eyes, it's open season. You can do what you want to them. It's only right. Is it?
Is it?
Who said it was right? You can't use it's right. You have to say where. Who says it's right? And that's what annoys when people say it's only right that we do that. No, it isn't. Where? Who said it was right? Did God say it was right? No, we don't believe in God. Then why is it right? And who said it's right? Oh, because the, European Commission says it's right.
Yeah.
Is that what you mean?
Must be, innit?
The United Nations says it's right.
That group of people over there says it's right.
Yeah.
So you must do what
that
they do.
bureaucratic system in Europe. Do you know what I mean?
It's right.
Unelected.
Yeah.
Say it's right. So it's right, like giving the Chagos Islands back. It's right. Says who? See, that's another thing that annoys me. To say things like it's right to give the Chagos Islands back. Back to who?
Yeah.
The people given it to is over 1,000 miles away, so it was never theirs. What? And if it's right by international law, well, who governs and who makes up and decides international law? Who?
Unelected guys.
Oh, right. And what power have they got to enforce that unelected law? None.
None.
So what are you talking about? If we say no, what will they do? Nothing.
Nothing.
Did you see what I mean?
Yeah.
So when you say international law, well, who governs international law? A group of self-appointed people?
Well,
Where's their army to enforce the law? They haven't got one. So why are we agreeing with it?
It's all nonsense.
It's
Anyway.
all nonsense, isn't it?
Because look at Thingy. Benjamin Netanyahu.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got an arrest warrant out from the ICU and he's still flying all over the place, pushing his propaganda all over the place. So
It's all
international law's nonsense.
It's nonsense.
They just pick when and where they want to use it.
It's too political.
Yeah,
It's too political and it's got no power. So why are you agreeing with something that has no power? What are they going to do if we don't? Nothing. Then what's your problem?
What is the problem?
It makes no sense.
It doesn't.
Because a group of lawyers decide. No, who are you to decide? You're not God. And this is how you talk to, when people ask you questions like that, this is how you have to say to them, because the argument is, if you don't believe in God, then whatever you say, if you say it's right, it isn't right, because it's only right because who's ever in authority has the power to do it. So what you're saying, something is right because it's relative, because I have the power and I say it's right. Because it can't be right morally because you don't believe in God.
Yeah.
So if I have the power and authority, I can say anything is right. And if somebody takes me over, then whatever they say is right.
Yeah.
So there is no right and wrong.
Isn't that right?
No.
Yeah.
The only right and wrong there is if you believe in God, because God tells us what's right and wrong. So what happens is what someone usually says is, these people who say right and wrong, they appeal to people like me and you who believe in God.
Yeah.
Because they know that we won't do anything to them because our faith in the Lord won't allow us to. So they're using that so they can come up with their stupid rules.
Yeah.
So if they decide that, like I said, everybody with green eyes, it's open season, they know that we won't do anything about it because we're governed by God's rule, that we won't stop them or we won't do anything to them. But they're relying on our faith to do the wrong things that they do, because really they don't have any morals. Their morals is what is our morals, if you see what I mean. They're using our morals to justify what they're doing, because they can't have any morals because you don't believe in God. So you can't have any morals.
So before we finish up, Tommy Robinson. Before we end it, so what's your thoughts on him and what he's doing?
Not quite sure what he's doing. I think he was right in, because the most thing I get out of Tom Robinson is that he said years ago, 10, 15 years ago, he was trying to show people the dangers, of Islam in this country. And people didn't want to listen to him. They just saw him as being a racist, okay? Because people don't listen to the truth. They want to pretend, like I said, that they're good people and they want to be accommodating and you got to accept, all faiths or religion. But he's trying to highlight, yes, but this particular, right? They're not, they're not for us. They're not for British. They're not for Britain. They have their own ideology. It may only be, yes, they're Islamic, but they may only be 1 or 2% of them, but that 1 or 2% of fundamentalists are dangerous.
Well, yeah.
Because I think it's like 75,000 people on the watch list for the Secret Service, the watch list for terrorists. 75,000 of them are of the Islamic faith.
That says it all.
But people don't tell you that. So, but the point is they can't watch all these people all the time. That's why
they slip through. And
yes, that's why you things like the Manchester bombing and things. This is why sometimes these things happen, because though they may know, they haven't got enough resources to watch all of them.
No, they can't.
So all we get told is the far right, the far right. So if I says to you, can you tell me the last thing the far right did in this country? Any bombings, any stabbings, any shootings? When the last time anyone from the far right did anything wrong?
Can't think of it.
Then why we keep going on about far right?
Because it's an scapegoat.
All right. Can you tell me the last time someone who is fundamentally Islamic did something? All right. So why do you keep talking about the far right?
Because I think
what I'm trying to say.
Because they're trying to weaponize it, aren't they?
Yeah.
They're weaponizing it. So they use even just the words like far right.
Yeah.
That's someone listening to this now could say that we sound like we're far right.
Hear what they say.
I'm just a realist. I can
stones, mate.
That's it. I'm just a realist. I can see there's an issue on the border. I can see no one's doing nothing about it, and I can see where it's going to end up
If we don't do anything about it.
Mm.
It's the same like Tommy Robertson saying, it might only be 1%, but what's 1% of 10 million?
There you go.
That's a lot of people who have an extremist viewpoint. And if them people are coming over illegally and nobody knows who they are and they're operating under the radar, a whole load of shenanigans can go down, if you know.
I always say to people, because people make me laugh, they always talk about how racist white people are, how racist the colonial area is, how awful we were. We did this, or in Africa and Asia. We did all these terrible things to these people. Oh, did we? Really? Right, okay. So the terrible things we did to these people, right? If it was that bad, because you keep telling us how bad it is, then these people must hate us for doing those things.
And then you're letting them all in.
But then you're letting them in. You see, what they're saying makes no sense, because all you're doing is telling me how awful we were with colonialism. So if we were that bad, then these people must hate us for what we did.
They must have an agenda.
Yeah, so why are you letting them in?
It makes even less sense when you look at it that way.
Yeah, because think about it.
Yeah.
If you've done this to my nation over all these centuries, I hate you British people. And then we're saying, oh yeah, we are bad. And not only that, we are telling our school kids how bad we were.
Yeah.
But then we say, okay, you that we did all those bad things to, come on in. I'm sure you've got no animosity about what we did to you.
Yeah.
It's how crazy it is.
And it's like we said on the phone the other day. Persian Empire, they had their time.
There you go.
It's just that we happen to be more advanced in
There you go.
and we managed to, because like I said, they did a lot of damage on horseback.
There you
So
go.
the Persian Empire was massive, and I know they had boats and they had fleets, but they didn't do it on a scale that we did it. We just had a better navy, so we managed to do it in a bigger way. But like you said, if they could do it now, they'd do it now.
Of course, the wars.
So
It's like people forget, don't they? Was it, the year 1000? No, the year 600, when we had all the Moors coming over into Spain.
yeah,
Right? They were Islamic, weren't they? Did you think they were going to stop in Spain?
no, they was gonna do it.
Oh,
over here,
right. So they took all the Middle East, right? All the way up to Turkey, all the way to India, all north of Africa, coming into Spain. What, they was going to stop in Spain? No, they'd come all the way to France, all the way to Germany, all the way to Britain. Well, what do you think they was going to do?
They're not gonna stop and get a tan.
Right. So therefore, they wanted to take over the whole world, right? So therefore, when people talk about, with slavery in Africa and all that, yeah, so what? Do you know what I mean? Do you not think the Islamic people, they were doing the same sort of slavery, as you know, isn't it, in Africa, taking people across the Sahara Desert? And even worse, they were, doing things to them that they couldn't have children.
Castration. And
There
all
you
sorts of
go.
that.
Do you know what I mean? They treated them worse.
Yeah, it is.
But people don't talk about. Once this person was talking to me, and they was trying to say to me, telling me about how bad, the transatlantic slavery is. I said, whoa, hold up, mate. Let's talk about the Islamic slavery. No. You've got to, no. Unless you're going to talk about the Islamic, I don't want to hear anything about the transatlantic slavery. And I'm a person whose family was, in generations has come from it.
Mm.
Because I go with where the truth is. Don't keep telling me about the transatlantic slavery unless you're willing to tell me about all the other slaveries in the world. Because they're all valid.
Yeah, well, look at Genghis Khan.
There
He
you go.
wiped out close to 1 million people.
There you go.
And if you wiped out 1 million, I'm sure he took a couple slaves along the way.
Of course.
But no one says nothing
Slavery's
about that.
always been
Look at
going.
the Romans, they was
Yes.
just as bad. They had one of the biggest empires at the time. I'm sure they took a couple of slaves. But, they only want to talk about the transatlantic.
Yeah.
Nothing else matters apart from that.
Exactly.
Well, that is a different conversation for a different time.
It is. It just makes me laugh that people, they don't really understand. They live on this sort of situation where it's always having a go at Britain, always having a go at white British people all the time of being racist. And I'm thinking, well, British people, European people, white people are no more racist than anybody else in the world. It's like I always say to people, so you're telling me that I can go to Saudi Arabia, I can go to China, I can go to Korea, I can go to Japan, and I can just get involved in their politics?
Hell no.
No,
Are you
why
mad?
not? Oh,
Not
is
a
it because
chance.
I don't look like them?
Yeah.
Right, that's why they won't let me in. So is that racism? Yeah, but we
Yes.
won't talk about
it.
that.
No,
So if an English person wanted to go to those countries and get involved in their politics, would they let them in? No. But is that racism?
Yeah. Well, then again, you have to have
There you
a
go.
degree of racism and
Course you do.
and colonialism anyway to keep your country your
There
country.
you go.
If England is a white country,
There you
so
go.
it should stay predominantly white and Christian. That's not
Mm.
to say you can't have any immigration, but it needs to be controlled.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're going to lose your society.
It's like, I always say to people, the other one I always say, you spend so much time telling people there how racist they are. Oh, day after day, you're telling school kids, you're telling people how racist they are. You're telling people they're racist for having the England flag. Even if it may be a sporting event, all right. But it's funny though, isn't it? Because if we're that racist, why are you not down on the coast telling these people that are coming in, especially
Whoa,
the
stop,
brown and
stop.
black people,
Don't come in.
This is
Yeah,
a racist.
yeah, you don't wanna
No,
come here, mate.
no, why are you not doing that? If we're that racist, then why are
Yeah.
you saying don't come in? Do you see what I mean? It's all gaslighting.
Yeah, of course it is.
Just think about it. Why? If I knew that house was racist, why would I tell black people to go in?
No, you wouldn't.
You wouldn't, would
Stay
you?
away, bro.
Right. So really, we're not that racist. We just keep hammering at it to get you to think that you're racist when you're not.
Like you said, it's just weaponizing morals
Yes.
to make people feel bad.
Yep.
Been going for 47 minutes now.
Oh,
So we're going
right.
to come to a close. We'll have
Okay.
to get a part 2 going again. Like you said, talk about
Yeah,
the
there's
slave
so many
trades.
things.
We'd be sat here all day if we could, wouldn't we?
Yeah, but I don't let it burden me. But I'm a sort of person that will just look at it, think about it, and then I'll just tell people the truth when they say something. Because I've noticed that people don't go with common sense. They don't sit there, think about it logically, or even like I always say, think about it from God's point of view, which is, how does God see this? How does he
Exactly.
see this?
Yeah.
But people won't think about how does God see. It's like, situations like in the Bible where it says there's no black, there's no white, there's no slave, there's no men, there's no women, male, there's no female. What does that actually mean? Well, that means it's only talking about your sin and how God deals with your sin.
Oh, yeah,
It's not talking about the roles of men and women. It's not talking, but people use it for that. Why, if you're a woman, you can be, a pastor, or you can do this, or if you're gay, you should be allowed in the church, or if you're this. No, that didn't mean that.
No.
All it meant was your sin is going to be judged the same as whether you're Jewish or you're black or you're white, you're male or female. You're as guilty for your sin, and the rewards for your sin
Yeah.
is the same.
the
And
same,
not
yeah.
only that, but you can accept Jesus if you're Jewish, if you're not Jewish, if you're black or if you're white, if you're male, you're female, if you're a servant, if you're a slave. That's what it means. It means your sin and your salvation is the same no matter who you are. But everybody
Yeah.
takes it out of context and use it as equality in the world. He's not talking about equality in the world.
No, he's definitely not.
He's only talking about that one thing to do with salvation. It doesn't mean because you're a woman, you can do exactly the same as a man. No, that's not what God meant. You understand what I
Yeah,
mean,
I know
don't you?
exactly what you mean.
But even Christians don't know that. They think that everything's equal because it says here, there's no this. No, it's just talking about your sin. That's all it's talking about. That's it, done. But people have to take things like they'll say, if you're a Christian, you should let people in from immigrants. No. Show me in the Bible where it says that.
Doesn't say it anywhere.
And also, this is the last thing, which is people don't really understand this. This is important. Show me in the Bible where God says you shouldn't have slaves.
I don't think it does.
Doesn't.
No.
It doesn't. God says if you can win your freedom, then get it if you can. It doesn't say rebel, do this. Do you know what I mean? To get away from it. It doesn't say that, does it? It says if you can win. Because if God's against slavery, then why do you let the Jewish people go into slavery in Egypt? If he's against it.
Yeah.
Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
He's not against it.
Yeah,
He doesn't like it, but he's not, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
He doesn't like it, but he knows it's going to happen because we choose to do it. But there's nothing that says in the Bible, you should know, thou should not have slaves. It doesn't say that.
You know what? It doesn't.
No, it doesn't. Nowhere. That's why when people say slavery is awful, yeah, okay, it's not good, but it's not something that God says you shouldn't do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Nah, yeah, I get.
Yeah.
And you know what? We're gonna have to get Adam for a conversation like that.
Yeah.
So we'll get a second episode going. We'll get him in.
Yeah.
And we'll get talking about that.
But these things are things where Christians should know, but they don't know because churches are scared to talk about it.
Well, that's another conversation as well.
Okay.
So for coming through and having a conversation, thank you.
Yes, okay.